ask us. Lucy is coming.
Oh yeah.
Let's wait for her. Yeah. Are you?
No.
You're doing the recording. Yeah. Okay. I will do it.
Yeah. Do you see that? Yeah. I just got it too. Okay. So let me continue. Okay. Good. I was waiting for that message, but it didn't come up. Okay. All right. So let me
go to the presenting mode. You are now is in.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Now
okay, great. Okay, so let's get started. So thank you for taking the time to join us for the DXA Tech training call for the APO study. So my name is Caroline. I have been in contact with you, getting you certified to scan for the APO study. And then we have Bo on the call. She will be the person analyzing the scans centrally. I don't know if you've worked with each other before. I haven't worked with the main site before.
No, I haven't.
Okay, no, we haven't done a study in many years.
Oh, okay.
So we've done them before, but not for a long time, and not through you folks.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's get started. So the overview of the APO study. So you will be obtaining DXA scans of the hip, spine, forearm, whole body, and VFA. And you'll be obtaining these scans in different visits. So at 5 visits, baseline 6, 12, 18, and 24 months, you'll be obtaining the hip, the forearm, and the spine. And then you'll be adding the VFA and the whole body only at the baseline and the 24-month visit.
Okay.
All right, so our responsibilities at the DXA QA Center, so we will be providing an operations manual, which I've actually sent to you, it was yesterday. We'll provide training, doing the tech certification, and we will provide any technical support throughout the study. So as far as certification, it looks like after we do this DXA Tech training call, you will be provisionally certified to scan. I think I've, in an email, I've said that you have to send your first 3 APO participant scans so that we can review your VFA set, which is the AP view and the lateral view. And then once we review those and they look okay, we'll fully certify you to scan. Now, this is just not for your site. Actually, all of the APO sites need to do this. So, and then we will be essentially analyzing the scans and keeping them here at UCSF. As we're analyzing the scans, we will assess the quality of acquisition. So if there's a scan that's suboptimal, we will give you tips to improve on positioning. And there may be scans that are unacceptable. We won't be including that in the study data. So we may request rescans. We'll also help monitor your scanner performance and then organize a cross-calibration at the beginning of the study. So we will be shipping you additional phantom scans at the beginning of the study. You'll scan the phantoms and you'll upload the scans to us. We'll check and make sure that the scans itself look okay. And then we will have you ship it off to the next APO site. All right, so what are the site responsibilities? So each site must identify a lead DXA tech who will be the primary contact for the study. And we want the DXA lead tech to obtain most, if not all, of the study scans. This is just to reduce variability in the scans. Each tech should read and understand our MOP, and the Hologic user's guide and be certified by us to acquire scans. And in addition, each site is responsible for scanner maintenance. All right, moving on to participant scanning. So this is kind of a general process. The study coordinator will schedule the appointment, and then the study coordinator will complete a section of the DXA transmittal and completion form, and that would be sent. That would get sent to the DXA tech, and the portion that the study coordinator has filled out That will be used when you enter in the Hologic scan biography in the Hologic software. So this slide is the completion and transmittal form. I just wanted to show you the section where the study coordinator completes, which is section A. This is actually also in the MOP, in the appendix. So I don't know if you have the MOP in front of you,
yes.
But it's in the appendix 1 under forms. So section A is in a gray box, and this is what the study coordinator will fill out. And it's pretty identical to the fields in the Hologic software. Next slide is the biographical fields in Hologic. So you're familiar with all of the fields in the scan biography, but I'll just quickly go through it. The last name, you will be entering the participant acrostic, which is 4 letters. Under first name, you enter in the clinic ID, which is your 1-digit code. Under patient ID, you'll enter the participant ID number. The format is APO with 4 digits following after that. Under sex is female, since this is just a female population. And then I'm going to move on to date of birth. So for each participant, enter January for month and 1 for day, and then enter the year of the participant's birth. This is just for the security and privacy of the participants. And then you'll get the weight and height from the transmittal form. Referring MD, you'll enter APO, and your tech code is a 2-digit code. That will be given to you after we do the training slides. So you'll probably expect your tech ID emailed to you from me in a few days. All right, so moving on to biographical fields for follow-up visits. So we don't want you to start a new biography. Use the previous biography stored in the scanner. The only thing you really need to do is update the participant's current weight and height, as well as the tech ID. All right, next slide. Participant eligibility and preparation. Okay, so there's a few points. So we want you to verify that the participant was not involved in any studies involving barium or radioisotopes within 1 week before the DXA scan. If they did, we will need to reschedule the participant DXA visit. Scan should not be obtained if participant exceeds the scanner's weight limit. If the participant is taking a supplement, you can proceed with the scan, but note that on the scan log if the tablet is visible. And then have the patient change into a gown without snaps. Make sure they remove all clothing except underwear and bra, and definitely make sure that there's no metal in the undergarments. Also check for any plastic objects remaining on the participant. Also remove any jewelry that will show in the scan field. Okay, so we're going to move on to scan acquisition. We'll start off with the hip. So scan the left hip unless hardware prevents, and scan the right. For the scan mode, use fast array. And then next couple of points is just pretty basic on how to position the hip, which is in the Hologic manual as well. But just want to point out that if the femoral shaft is crooked in this the computer screen, stop the scan to adjust. Either you need to abduct it or adduct it and rescan the participant. All right, moving on to follow-up for hip. So you want to position the participant the same position at baseline, even if baseline was suboptimal. If it's impossible to match baseline, let's say if the participant is in pain or has severe arthritis, produce the best position possible. Scan the same hip as baseline. If there is any hardware or fracture, don't obtain a scan and don't scan the other side. And then use the same scan mode that was used at baseline. Okay, so this slide is just an image of a properly acquired and analyzed hip scan. So in this image of the hip scan, the femur is straight and rotated properly. And you can tell by the lesser trochanter, it's barely visible. It's also nicely centered. The neck box is anchored at the inflection of the greater trochanter, and the rest of the sides are in soft tissue. Okay, moving on to spine scan. So for the scan mode, use fast array. And then make sure that the table and the patient is centered and aligned, and use the Hologic block to aid in positioning. Make sure that you are scanning a little bit of the iliac crest so that L4 is entirely in scan. And then scan L1 through L4. And if the scan isn't imaged properly, let's say the spine looks crooked on the screen, the computer screen, abort the scan, reposition, and start again. Okay, moving on to the spine scan at follow-up. So again, position the participant the same position at baseline, even if baseline is suboptimal. So this is standard for all of the anatomical sites. Again, use the same scan mode that was used at baseline. If there's only one evaluable vertebrae, do not scan the spine at follow-up, and note that in the participant scan log. Again, if the scan is not imaged properly, abort, reposition, and start the scan again. All right, so this slide is an image of a properly acquired and analyzed spine scan. So here you can see that L1 and through L4 is entirely in the scan. There's a little bit of the iliac crest visible, and it's straight and nicely centered in the scan window. Okay, so moving on to forearm scan acquisition. So you want to scan the non-dominant forearm. If the forearm is fractured or contains any hardware, scan the other side. For scan mode, use the array. Make sure that the participant's head is clear of the scanner arm. Make sure that the participant is seated comfortably to reduce any chance of motion. And you also want to measure the distance from the ulnar styloid to the table. And we want to record this length on the participant scan log. As you know, to analyze the forearm scan, you do need the length in centimeters. And then, as a given, make sure that the participant remains quiet until the end of the measurement. And if there is any movement or motion during the scan, rescan the forearm. All right, so forearm scan acquisition at follow-up. Again, position the participant the same position at baseline, even if baseline is suboptimal. Scan the same forearm at baseline. If there's hardware or fractures, don't obtain a scan, don't scan the other side. Again, use the same scan mode that was used at baseline. And again, we will need that measurement of the ulnar styloid to the table, so write that in the participant scan log. All right, so this slide is a image of a properly acquired and analyzed forearm scan. So it's a the forearm is straight and centered in the scan window. And these images are actually in the MOP. So if you have any questions about the scan acquisition, you can look at the DXA MOP that we provided to you, or you can ask your questions. You can email your questions to Bo. Okay, so moving on to IVA acquisition. So 2 scans will be obtained, which is an AP view and a lateral view. So I just want to note there's 2 important reasons why we ask you to obtain the AP. One, it serves as a scout scan and helps the tech get a better lateral scan. And then 2, Bo refers to the AP view if she has difficulty assessing a vertebral level in the lateral view. And then choose IVA imaging and click to remove the check mark in the Use Default Scan Mode box. If the check mark is not removed, then only the IVA lateral scan will be performed. So make sure this is a very important step. And then you want to select an SEAP image and then SE lateral image. We don't want you to reposition the participant between these two scans. And when you do scan the IVA, make sure you scan a little bit of the iliac crest to ensure L4 is entirely in scan. Include all levels up to T4 if you can. For tall participants, it's okay to exclude some of the upper T levels. We just want to make sure that you get L4 in the scan window. Okay, moving on to IVA acquisition at follow-up. Again, position the participant the same position at baseline. Same scan mode should be used the same as baseline. All right, so the next slide is an image of a participant positioning for an IVA. And these images came straight from the Hologic mop. So if you need any examples, you can check in the Hologic mop or our APO mop. So here, the next few slides are some examples of an optimal and suboptimal positioning for the VFA scans. So these images here, the iliac crest is visible in the image, which ensures, again, that L4 is entirely in scan. And you want to scan from the iliac crest to T4 if possible. There's a couple of more examples of optimal scans, but I'll just skip to the next slide since I've mentioned that already. Okay, so here's some examples of a poor imaged VFA scan. L4 is cut from the scan. So again, you want to try and start scanning from the iliac crest. A couple of other examples is where the scan is started too low. So this example, most of the sacrum is scanned. So that means that you won't get all of the, you won't get all of the T levels. So again, make sure that you scan part of the iliac crest. And then there's another image where the ribs are somewhat overlapping the vertebrae, and that's likely due to the participant positioned crooked on the table. Okay, so here's the next slide of a unacceptable VFA scan. So if the anterior or posterior is cut from the scan, we definitely won't be able to get any VFA reading. Bo, for a scan to be obtained this way, is the participant also crooked on the table, or are they too much further on the side?
Yeah, they are not in the scan field. But for this patient, they can move a little bit to, it's not centered. You know, they have a kyphosis, this one patient.
Okay. Okay.
So if they can move a little bit toward the front of the table, and we'll including the back part of the vertebra. The thoracic vertebra will be included. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
But
okay. So
if
yeah,
you saw this need to be repeated to reposition the patient and repeat again.
Okay. Yeah. So if you notice that the vertebrae are cut from the scan window, you should rescan the participant again. All right. So moving on to whole body scan acquisition. So obviously the participant should be straight on the table, legs should be straight with feet parallel to each other. with the toes pointed up. You can use the Velcro strap around the ankles to support the legs. Palms should be flat on the table. Make sure they are kept away from the soft tissue of the hips. Let the participant know to remain quiet till the end of the scan. If there is any movement during the scan, do a rescan. If the participant's too tall, you can clip part of the feet. So if the participant has a BMI of equal to or more than 32, choose the HP whole body scan type. Otherwise, just choose the whole body. Okay, move back, skipping to that. Okay, whole body scan acquisition. So if the participant can't fit within the scan field, the DXA tech will make a decision whether they should be off-centered. But what's important is that at least one entire side, including arm and hand, should be entirely in the scan image. For off-centered scans, regardless of the BMI, choose the scan type HP whole body. Okay, moving on to whole body at follow-up. Again, you want to position the participant the same position at baseline, even if the baseline scan was suboptimal. Here is an exception. So if the participant was off-centered at baseline, but they can fit entirely on a table at follow-up, center the participant. If the participant was centered on the table at baseline, but can no longer fit entirely on the table at follow-up, then off-center the participant. And again, use the same scan type that was used at baseline. All right, so next slide is a properly acquired and analyzed whole body scan. So in this image, it's the same image that's in the DXA mop. The head's straight, and they are centered on the table. There's space between the arms and torso. The palms are flat on the table, and the feet and legs are together with a little bit of space in between, and the toes are pointed up. All right, so the next slide are just a couple of examples of unacceptable whole body scans. Both of these images have some or most of the arm out of the scan, so you want to off-center the participant. All right, so moving on to scan analysis. So you will analyze the baseline, the 12-month and 24, or early withdrawal using your clinic standard analysis procedure. So for the baseline, we want you to analyze the baseline scans because you will be providing the DXA reports to the study coordinator, and they will determine if the participant is eligible to continue based on the local scan results. And then for 12 months, you will be checking for EBL. And for both 12 months and 24, you will be providing results to the study coordinators. It is not required to analyze the 6 or 18-month scans. All of the scans, however, will be centrally analyzed here at the DXA QA Center by Bo. All right, moving on to DXA reports. So I mentioned in the last slide, at screening and 24-month or early withdrawal, you'll provide printouts of the DXA scan results, hip, spine, forearm, and whole body to the study coordinator. And then the study coordinator will provide these results to the participant. And as mentioned in the last slide, the study coordinator will decide at baseline if the participant is eligible based on the local DXA results. All right, so this slide is just the criteria for the screening visit, the exclusion criteria. This you don't have to worry, but I had this slide just in case. This is for the study coordinator. So if the participant has a T-score equal to or less than -2.5 at the hip, the total hip, femoral neck, or total spine, or equal to or less than -3.0 at the forearm, and if there is a vertebral fracture of grade 2 and 3, this determines whether the participant is eligible or not to continue. See, the local reading of the VFA results is, it varies by each site. So some sites have DXA doing the analysis, and others might have their local PI reading the VFA scans. Okay, so next slide is the participant safety at follow-up, EBL plus low BMD. So this is what you'll be responsible for, checking EBL only at the 12-month visit. So the criteria is if bone loss from baseline is more than 7.5% at the total spine, or if bone loss is more than 8.5% at femoral neck, and a T-score equal to or less than minus 2.5 at the total spine or femoral neck. So they have to have at least one EBL and one T-score in order to be, I guess if they have one of each, you will have to send the scans as well as filling out the form to UCSF. But at that time, as you are analyzing the hip and spine scans, you do that while the participant is still available. And if they do meet the EBL criteria and the T-score criteria, then you want to obtain a second scan. And you send those scans to us and then email Bo, letting her know that you've uploaded a possible EBL and low BMD. And then you want to send both hip and spine scans, regardless if there was just only one bone loss. And make sure that you don't discuss this with the participant or the study coordinator. Once you've sent your scans and the EBL form to Bo, she will confirm whether EBL and T-score is indeed true. And if it is, she will inform you as well as the study coordinator. If it was a false case, then she will just inform you. All right, moving on to scanner maintenance by the DXA tech. So you want to scan the Hologic spine phantom every day, a subject to scan, but at least 3 times per week. And then check and make sure that your BMD, BMC, and area plots, just to make sure that everything looks okay. And make sure you schedule your annual preventive maintenance with Hologic. And if you had any preventive maintenance or any services that was done on your scanner, make sure you send a copy of the service report to us. All right, moving on to the electronic scan transfer, which is the UCSF platform called RAE, which is Research Analysis Environment. This is where you will be uploading your DXA scans as well as your participant scan log to us. As of right now, we are just waiting for our UCSF IT to send you an email giving you instructions on how to create your account. So it's in the process right now. And the instructions on how to upload the scans are in the appendix in the MOP. It's the appendix 2. I've done screenshots in each step, so it should be pretty simple. Once you get access to the RAE site, I will ask you to upload your QC plots with at least 1 year of data, just to do a test run to make sure that you don't have any issues uploading or downloading any scans. Okay, so on a weekly basis, we want you to upload participant scans along with the scan log to the RAE site. And then around the beginning of each month, include all of your spine phantom scans from the previous month and a PDF of your QC plots, BMD, BMC, and area. And then again, if there was any services done on your scanner, such as a preventive maintenance, then this is where you can upload the service report to us. All right, moving on to forms. So there are 3 forms that you will see pretty often, and you'll also be completing them as needed. The first one is the DXA completion and transmitter form, the participant scan log, and the EBL plus low BMD form. Okay, so the next slide is the actual form of the DXA completion and transmitter form. So like I mentioned again, section A is the study coordinator's responsibility. He or she will fill this out. And then the rest of the transmittal form is completed by the DXA tech, which is section B. So I'll quickly go over the steps. You'll enter in your tech ID and the date of the visit. And then question 2 is assessing the eligibility. So there are a few options as far as whether the participant is eligible or not. So if the weight exceeds the local machine limit, if the participant refused to do the DXA scan, or if there was contrast in the past 7 days, they won't be eligible to continue. And you don't have to continue with questions 3 to 5. The second page of the DXA transmittal form. So if the participant is eligible, if all the there were 3 boxes to check, and if there were none checked, then you can move on to questions 3 to 5. So question 3 is performing the scan. So this is, you know, if you scan the spine, hip, forearm, check if it was completed or not completed. If it wasn't, there's a couple of options for you to check, and then there's another column where you can write in your comments. And this is just a reminder to send DXA printouts of the spine, hip, forearm, and whole body to the and given to the study coordinator at the screening and 24-month visit. Do not send printouts at the 6, 12, or 18-month visit. And then number 4 is just, you know, once you transmit the scans, just write the date that was sent to us. And then the last question 5 is just any comments of any problems regarding eligibility, protocol, collection, or transmission. All right, next slide is the participant scan log. Again, this is in the appendix. So you will be printing them out as needed. And I think what I'll do is send you a hard copy of the scan log and the EBL form, because in the appendix is just a screenshot. So maybe when you print it out, it might look too small or just kind of off. So I'll provide you the Word version in an email. So for the DXA participant scan log, you have date, participant ID, participant acrostic, scan type, scan ID, which is the Hologic scan ID. If any of these scan types need to be flagged, you check the box and then you write your reason on the next column. There is also an area where you can write your the forearm length. And again, this will be submitted along with your participant scans, which is on a weekly basis. All right, and then we have the participant safety EBL/low BMD. So on the form, it has the criteria and it has steps on what you need to do if the participant has a possible EBL and low BMD. So again, this is also in your DXA mop, and I will send you a Word version of it. Okay, so this is the last slide, which is UCSF DXA support. So if you have any questions, please let us know. So if you have any questions regarding the DXA mop or certification, feel free to let me know, or if you have any questions in regards to scan acquisition, feel free to contact Bo. And the best way to reach us is email. If you prefer to talk over the phone, we can definitely schedule a time to do it. So did you guys have any questions for us?
Yes.
Okay.
I have some questions. So for the baseline, if you do the hip first and it's osteoporotic, do you continue? I mean, do I scan? Do I do the scans on all the sites, even if the first one or the second one is going to be too low? Yes.
You obtain a scan for every participant, and that's when you send the results, the printouts, to the study coordinator, and then the study coordinator has a criteria, an exclusion criteria, and here he would determine if the participant is eligible based on those results.
Okay, so it seems like a lot of radiation for people who aren't going to be in the study.
Yeah, there's, we've had our DXA techs in other studies be responsible to check for T-scores, but I think it just all depends on each study. I don't know if Lucy has any additional information or response about that.
I don't actually, but we can go ahead and double check with our DXA director to confirm this answer.
And on the VFA, it said 10-second scan, so we're not doing the HD VFA. The 50, we're not doing this. We have options on the Horizon A to do either the 10-second or the 15-second scan. So I think this is supposed to be 10 seconds, and I just wanted to confirm that, because in our practice, we usually use the 15-second scan, the HD version.
Is it because you have a much better resolution, or why are you using 15 high HP version?
Go ahead.
I'm not sure the patient for the 15-second, do you have a trouble with the patient who holding that long?
No.
Okay. We can discuss.
Sometimes it's a little bit better
resolution.
So, but if you want 10 seconds, we can do that.
Okay, we can discuss more and get back to you on this.
Okay.
But for the protocol, we are saying 10 seconds.
What about, we're doing the analysis of the spine, but we're not like excluding vertebrae. That's all being done centrally.
You should do the analysis as usually you do for your clinical. If you exclude vertebral that has fractures or others, and then, or you're using IACD criteria, which is if the adjacent T-score is more than 1 standard deviation, then you need to exclude that vertebral.
Okay.
Yeah.
If somebody has what we think is the excessive bone loss, it said to repeat the scan. Are we repeating all the scans, or just the body part that exceeded that threshold?
That is, so your question is, if you
if at the 12 months, yeah, if at the 12 months the femoral neck had a loss of 8.5%, but other sites didn't, would we repeat, and we're supposed to repeat it, should we be repeating all of the sites?
Yeah, that's kind of tricky, because I know what we said was you want to send the scans to us regardless if one was suspected and not the other. Let me confirm with that. That is a good question. And I'll get back to you, okay, Debbie?
Okay, because I know that the patient might become suspicious if we start over again and repeat them all.
Yeah, okay. These are all good questions. Do you have any more?
Yep.
Okay.
We usually use a sheet on our table so that we can do some fine tuning to better match in the future. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Just
okay.
a regular hospital sheet, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. We are using that because you don't want some people sit on there, lay on there, and the next one come up. So we're always using a sheet on the table.
On the monthly QC, you want us to upload all the daily phantoms?
Yes,
just from
that's correct. No, if we have at the beginning we have a 1 year database, right? After that,
right.
Each month we want the scan itself, the QC scan itself, to upload.
Okay.
But it's incremental, not accumulated. You upload like May, and then you don't need to upload June.
Okay, so just 1 month at a time.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you find works best as far as archiving? I mean, because right now we archive to an external hard drive as well as to PACS, but I don't anticipate these scans are going to go to PACS because they're going to be de-identified. We haven't done a study when we were on the IMPACT system, the picture archiving systems. So I'm just not sure how that works.
That probably is the question for your local PI.
Okay. Except that they haven't probably had experience with that with other studies here. And I assume we are not going to be entering these patients into our medical record, our electronic medical record system, because we won't be able to manipulate the biographies if we do.
So I just want to add to that last question is you can archive your scans to CDs or any DVDs or a network location. It doesn't have to be, we don't say to archive it to the PACS system.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, and then what was your current question?
Whether these patients are going to be entered or scheduled in any way in our electronic medical record system. I don't, because normally we would download our work list of patients from that, but it seems to me these are going to have to be individually entered in order to be able to enter the biography the way you want.
Yeah, not sure how to answer that question. Does anyone, Lucy or Bo?
I don't, I'm sorry.
Okay, let me.
I don't think
go ahead,
so.
Bo.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think probably
I'm not sure.
Also another question for the local PI.
I think so too. I think it varies by clinic.
Mhm.
Okay, so we can figure it out with them.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions I had. We're just gonna, it's gonna be a little tricky for us with the first one because we have not uploaded from the system. We don't, I can't see that we have internet access from this densitometer. So we're going to need to transfer to our other computer in the same room to be able to transfer the data.
Yeah, there are instructions in the appendix on how to upload scans. So, I mean, it's pretty common that, you know, you don't have internet access on your Hologic workstation. So we do have instruction there on how to save your scans either to, you know, a USB or a CD, and then, you know, take it to a computer that has internet access.
Okay, I thought we had internet connection because I know that Hologic can remote into the densitometer, but I have not been able to find any way for me to do anything. There's no internet browser, there's no email, anything like that on this computer.
Okay. Okay, yeah, So
it'll just be, we'll just need a little walking through when we get to that, you know, that first week.
Yeah. So again, the instructions are there, and if you are having any issues, just let me know and we can walk through it together.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can always do a test upload as well. Just you know, you can send a phantom scan, you know, copied over to a USB if you don't have internet access on your Hologic workstation, and then go through those steps if you prefer, you know, feel more comfortable doing that before we actually, you know, get you going.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have
want to do that.
One other question. You mentioned the Velcro strap for whole body scans. Where did you get a Velcro strap for whole body scans? We've never had one.
So does it come with the purchase of the Hologic scanner?
No, you can just buy a regular Velcro straps, not a particular for the Hologic.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can just using paper, you know, those medical use the paper tapes. The Velcro strap is better because more strong and stable.
Yeah, I could see that would be the case. Yeah, we've used tape in the past, but we lost our supply, and so I was trying to figure out what we would do next. Okay. Very good.
These are all great questions.
Do you anticipate when things might be starting?
I think Lucy might know.
We actually have a site call meeting or the kickoff meeting in 2 weeks. And then from there, we'll be able to decide exactly what day your clinical site will be up and running for recruitment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Debbie, do you have any further questions?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure the questions that we'll get back to you on. So you had a question about the EBL. You should obtain both scans if just one of them is suspected of EBL or a low BMD. And then for whole body scan, you know, we need to confirm whether we want you to do a 10-second or 15-second scan. And then the question about osteopenia, right? If you should still obtain the baseline scan.
If they have osteoporosis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I do have one more. There was on positioning the forearm, it said to measure the forearm and then put a mark on the patient. Are you using what, a Sharpie or something on the patient's arm?
We usually just do with a very ball pen with little mark there, not the big one. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, you can use a sharp pen or other like a ball pen to mark it.
Because the way we had been taught to position the arm was to scan the distal most inch or two, and then reposition the scanner to start right at the ulna styloid, and then restart the scan. But I could see that that might make a little bit longer scan field, and I didn't know if that was what the issue was as far as consistency.
You can do what you did before, that's fine. But we would like you to do as we in the mock, and let us know if you have running any problems.
Okay, maybe I'll try it out next time and see how if it changes things as far as the
Thanks.
scan length.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great. So Debbie, Teresa, we have the DXA Tech training call recorded. So once we upload that to YouTube, we will send you the link. So since you didn't have the slides up, I will provide you the link, and if you have any questions, you can go back to the slide, or go over the MOP, or email us for any further questions.
We actually did have the slides.
Oh, good. Oh, you had it in front of you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yep, we've been able
okay.
to follow on. Yep.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry, I don't know. For some reason, I thought that you didn't have the slides in front of you.
No, you just didn't have video of us.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. All right. All right. So Debbie, Teresa, if you have any further questions, email myself or Bo or Lucy. We're here to help you, do the startup and support throughout the study.
Very good. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.